It's time to set the record straight. Resistance to change doesn't exist. It's true that resistance is often blamed for the failure of organizational change efforts. But what if it's not the reason? What if what you are seeing and interpreting as resistance could be eliminated, or even better, prevented? Stay tuned. In this video, I'll share with you why what you think is resistance to change is not, and what you can do to enable healthier and more sustainable change in your organization. Welcome back to the channel. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Dawn Marie Turner, President of Turner Change Management and creator of the Readiness Mindset. And before we get started, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, go ahead, do it now. Every week, I publish a new video to help you and your organization thrive because of change instead of simply surviving in spite of it. Does this scenario sound familiar? You announce a change your organization needs to make. Maybe it's even to address a problem that people have been complaining about. But instead of overwhelming support, you are bombarded with questions, criticism, and reasons why it won't work, or that it's been tried before and it didn't work. If you're like many of the leaders who reach out to me, you conclude that the problem is people are resistant to change. However, it's not that your team or your employees or your colleagues are resistant to change. The problem is that you believe that they are resistant to change. It's that belief that people are resistant to change that sets in motion a cascade of activities that often makes the situation worse instead of better. You are working with a resistant mindset. That is the belief that people are resistant to change. It's not surprising. The idea that people are resistant to change has become embedded and a largely unchallenged belief about the human response to change. Every day I hear people talking about resistance to change and asking, how do you manage the resistance, even among the change management community? The problem with approaching change with a resistant mindset is that it tricks you into seeing resistance where there is none. For example, remember all that backlash I spoke about earlier and all that negative talk about your recently launched change initiative? That's not resistance. It's a normal human reaction to something different. Yet you hear it as resistance because you believe people resist change. Here's how a resistant mindset dupes you into seeing resistance where there is none. Our brains are hardwired for predictability and consistency. It's a survival mechanism. When you announce a change, you disrupt the normal pattern for the people affected, which creates a reaction. It's normal for people to react to the uncertainty of anything new or different. We, all human beings, also have a built-in negativity bias. Another one of our survival mechanisms. This negativity bias means that we're more attuned to pay attention to potential risks and threats. And only when we have determined the risk do we begin to focus on any potential benefits of something new. So it's not surprising and should be expected that when you announce a change, people will challenge it. They'll ask questions. They'll assess the risk of moving forward. When you are approaching change with a resistant mindset, the belief that people resist change, those two normal reactions collide with your confirmatory bias, creating the perfect conditions to see resistance where none exists. You hear the challenges, the feedback, the questions as negative. And your confirmatory bias validates and aligns it with your belief that people are resistant to change. Thus, you create resistance where none exists. You conclude that feedback is evidence of resistance. Breaking the cycle of a resistant mindset is what enables healthy and sustainable change and can create a change-ready organization. The first step in breaking the cycle of resistance to change is to recognize when you're working with a resistant mindset. You're working with a resistant mindset if you believe people resist change and that you as a leader must manage and overcome that resistance. If you get frustrated when you introduce something new and you get all of those questions, feedback, and challenges to what you want to do in your organization. You're working with a resistant mindset if you label people as resistant to change when they don't respond enthusiastically, raise those concerns about the change, or fail to adopt those new activities and behaviors. You're working with a resistant mindset if you set a timeline for a change initiative to be completed without assessing and knowing the level of readiness of the people who will need to do that heavy lifting. The second step is to adopt a readiness mindset. It's not the absence of resistance that determines the pace or success of your organizational changes. It's readiness. You can't move faster than the level of readiness among the people who will need to adopt all of those new activities and behaviors. Adopting a readiness mindset breaks the toxic cycle of change that can hold your organization back. If you want to learn more about eliminating resistance to change and the power of the readiness mindset, download our free resource. I'll put it in the description box below. And if you're ready to transform your organization to a change-ready organization, reach out. Let's have a conversation. Bye for now.